If you're driving, please remember to use your car's Bluetooth speaker while listening to the AM Drive. Sports talk is not worth your safety or the safety of others.
Grab your popcorn and sit back.
Jump the gun. Oh, no, give me more than that. Okay, go this way. That was dumb. We are.
How could I tell you when nobody wants to? Your favorite words I will show.
Happy Friday again to everyone in the sports universe. This is the AM Drive on this wonderful August 11th, 2023. For Aaron Crouch, I am Michael Carbell saying good morning to you, sir, once again. It seems like it's been a long time.
Well, yeah, we missed Monday's show, so it's a whole week.
We're bad. That was partly my fault. Like 80, I'll take 80% of the blame for Monday.
All right, that's a fair assessment. I think 80%'s right.
Fair enough. Go to mikeandaarondrive.com to get the best in our merchandise, such as this phone case, this mug. Aaron's got the tumbler back. Let's go. And, of course, the ever-amazing hoodie. And, of course, more great things on that shop. It's funny we're going to start with a hashtag nothing burger maybe because it's CJ Stroud's debut. And I'm literally live reacting to watching this for the first time. Oh, that was bad. Okay, that was bad. That was worse than I thought it was going to be. CJ Stroud 30 interception, answered a 15-yard sack. Only had like 5 dropbacks the entire game, so that's a brutal. That's not good. I'm of the mindset he impressed me more so personally when I saw him make the off kilter throws, like off script. I mean, like when he was really good on the sideline throws, but I didn't think he was consistent enough. Being an Ohio State quarterback obviously helps that. But Aaron, I have to know your thoughts on the interception. Is it a nothing burger? Is it something that we're going to have to deal with for a little bit with this guy?
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it feels like a nothing burger right now.
Yes.
Because it's game one and it's 2 for 4 with 14 yards and a pick. It's a little surprising that he wasn't in there longer. I know that, you don't play your starters, but this is a different kind of playing your starter if your intention is for CJ Stroud to be there week one, which so far I think that D'Amico Ryans has already kind of said that this is their guy. They're pushing him to be the starter. Like Davis Mills be damned. No matter how well you play, you cannot win this job. So I think a little more time in games. I mean, there's nothing that simulates a game. Like there's no practice you can do that can simulate a game. I don't care what they say. I don't care if joint practices, this, that, and the other. Nothing simulates game experience like a game. And he played poorly. So for me, it's a nothing burger right now, but it could become like you just put the burger, you're heating up the grill. It could become a burger if this is the way he plays preseason football. Now, I know there's not a lot of expectation out of not Tennessee, but out of Houston, but or Tennessee really, but there's not a lot of expectation out of anybody in the AFC South. But right now, I think I'll play it as a nothing burger currently, but I think that he'll need more game reps in game 2. No doubt about it.
Agreed, and I like that you mentioned the 2 for 4. Like, why is he only out there for that long? Because it wasn't like Davis Mills was stinking up the joint. Like, Davis Mills, to me, if they were like this in D'Amico Ryan's eyes, I'd have to think from what Davis Mills did, it's kind of maybe CJ Stroud didn't move down at all. Maybe in my eyes, Davis Mills crept up because I don't think D'Amico Ryan's is dumb. I think he's probably the most competent head coach they've had. Even though I respect Lovie Smith, I still think that D'Amico Ryan's is going to be a good coach for that team, specifically. But it is interesting. Like, why throw him out there for like 1.5 drives? And it's like, so I've seen enough of that. Like, it almost seems like a let's not get him killed kind of thing. But it's not a good look in my opinion.
I mean, that's fair. It's like if we're forcing this starting job onto CJ Stroud, which I mean, for 2 things already, I was not really high on CJ Stroud to begin with. 2, he's an Ohio State quarterback. I mean, that stigma checks out. I mean, it is what it is. We've got another one who's, really in the crosshairs this year, and Justin Fields, another Ohio State quarterback. But I don't know. To me, it just seemed like there was nothing good that could have come out of starting him in week 1. And it only looks poor. Like if he stays in there for a half, settles himself down, it's like 7 of 15 for 50 yards and a pick. It's like, okay, well, he got some game reps on, but he's 2 of 4. You yanked him out. I mean,
And
you're
a sack.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of this is the pressure already on D'Amico Ryans, which there should be absolutely zero, but I don't think there's any reason you should have named this kid, pretty much your starter right away. I'm not saying Davis Mills is great. Obviously, we know that. I mean, I am a more proponent of Davis Mills starting this year than CJ Stroud should be, but
Agreed.
If we're moving him along slowly, this felt like a weird spot in the development, because I got to think after that performance, CJ's confidence may be a little bit messed with. So I don't know. This is a weird situation, and I'm going to chalk it up to a rookie head coach maybe just trying to get him out of there before the yarn unravels even worse and messes with his confidence. But yeah, let's just chalk this up as, like you said, a hashtag nothing burger. Hope it doesn't actually have to put meat on the grill at this point.
God, you and your Agridine plugs. Oh, speaking of, we'll get to that later. Patriots, Aaron, you like to talk about them. You didn't think they look good. How are we feeling?
So yeah, I thought this was a little bit embarrassing. I mean, I know it's preseason. Everybody, it's preseason, this, that, and the other. But to have all this time off, I thought you were the better team on paper, and to come out and after everything we just talked about CJ Stroud and how poorly he played and how I would say average to above average that Davis Mills played, you got rocked on your own field, 20-9. So I know preseason doesn't matter, and Mac Jones didn't play, and the starters didn't play, but this is not great for if Mac Jones does not succeed. What's behind him with Bailey Zappi, Malik Cunningham was pretty fun to watch, but I'm just saying, what's behind Mac Jones if you decide to bench Mac Jones? There's nothing there right now. I know the Bailey Zappi, extravaganza. I know that's your boy, and now Malik Cunningham's going to be your newest taken under since Malik Willis is. Since Malik Willis is not going to do it, Malik Cunningham might have to do it. He was fun to watch though, but I don't see anything that makes me excited to be a Patriots fan so far after week 1.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi was 12 of 14, but 79 yards with a long of 24 is a really bad average. Like I saw, it's a lot of Tom Brady, dink and dunk, it looks like. And I know there's going to be some Patriots fans out there going to say, well, it's just Bill Belichick and he's trying to hide it. At what point do you guys give up on him? I believe he was a big part of the success of the Patriots, but eventually it's like the dude's in over his head at this point. It's almost like those 6 Super Bowls almost hurt his made his confidence too big. Because remember last year what the problem was the offense, and I was told that according to camp reports that they were trying Malik Cunningham as wide receiver. They are desperate for some offense. And then he comes in this game, plays quarterback. Okay. Wow. What have you guys haven't learned anything. And for people thinking that Bill O'Brien's the savior of this offense, not a fan.
Well, man, you kind of put a lot to unpack right there. So I'm not going to sit here and go on a diatribe, but I mean, it's Brady, it's Belichick. It came together. The confidence to take all these guys who nobody had ever heard of, and it panned out. It panned out for 20 years. It doesn't pan out forever. So when you're grabbing guys from Nowheresville State University and taking them with 2nd and 3rd round picks, eventually that just stops being a modicum of success. So I don't know. Right now it's all going on Mac Jones. I think Bill O'Brien will be fine. It's Mac Jones. It's a put up or shut up year. I don't know. Bill O'Brien was perfectly fine his first stint in New England. They won a Super Bowl. So I don't think you're giving Bill O'Brien enough credit because of what happened in Houston. And I actually think I don't want to go down this road. What he did with Houston, all he did was win, 5 division titles? It's nothing to slouch about. Everybody wants to criticize him for trading DeAndre Hopkins, which, okay, that's fine.
Looks better and better. He wasn't great in Arizona.
I know. Well, I'm saying, he had one good year in Arizona, but he traded him for a bag of chips. That's the problem. So, I don't know. I mean, I think you're a little bit ahead of yourself by saying Belichick's done for after one preseason game. But I mean, he's in probably is that the toughest division? That in the West? I mean, they're the two toughest divisions, and he does have the worst team in the division.
Say that, but I'm not a. I don't think AFC East is as. I think it's this year. I think it's last year's AFC West is this year's AFC East.
So AFC West the best division, but after that, it's what, NFC East maybe?
Oh, obviously NFC East is up there for sure. I think NFC East is better.
We'll have to see with Aaron Rodgers, but
take out
anyway,
the Chiefs and we don't know.
If you take, are you talking about? You think that? Okay, well, I think the AFC West is the best division, but we could be wrong. Anyways, that time will tell with that. But my point is that Bill Belichick has the worst roster in the AFC East right now. That's not. I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's a fact.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've been on the road on the train of fire Belichick for over a year now. I feel like, and it's slow. It's funny how the national media is slowly coming around to what I said. Like, eventually, 6 Super Bowls means nothing with a whole new regime. Like, if you're the only staying factor, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Yes, that's a line from a movie.
I think Bill Belichick's in that hallowed, college football type ground. Like Robert Kraft, are you going to be you could win 6 Super Bowls, but your legacy is I'm the guy that fired the guy that won 6 Super Bowls. So I don't think Robert Kraft is doing it. I think Robert Kraft is behind the scenes, maybe in 2 or 3 years, saying, "Yeah, Bill, maybe it's time to come take a front office job at this point." Like in Alabama, if Nick Saban suddenly lost his mind, they're not pushing him out the door. I mean, same with Bobby Bowden. The big thing with Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, those schools wanted them gone a decade before they actually left. But how do you fire that? You just don't fire that guy. So if there was a bet, if there was a wager out there on if Bill Belichick retires or gets fired, I think getting fired is a huge dog. I don't care what year it is. You can just make it an open-ended bet.
I'll take the plus 500.
I don't think he gets fired. Definitely not this year. He's not getting fired this year. But that's the thing. In the NFL, you don't have that time. It's the what have you done for me lately. 6 Super Bowls are great, but now after Tom Brady goes and wins one on his own, your quote-unquote value to the dynasty may or may not have diminished. I will never take it away from Belichick because he did produce top 5 defenses that obviously assisted with Tom Brady, which you Brady haters like to throw into the argument. So
woo! Say his name, the defense of Belichick. You're killing me over here. Love it.
I have no problem admitting it was probably a 55-45 split. I don't know which way, but the fact of the matter is yeah, Patriots football is going back to what it used to be before the dynasty, and I don't think Patriots fans have quite comprehended that just yet.
So, you are my Bieniemy, Aaron.
Well, the Bieniemy of my Bieniemy is my friend, right?
I don't even want to go. That just sounds weird.
Going down some Aristotle shit.
Right. Ooh. Why you always got to throw the cuss word? Shame on you.
I know. Family show. My bad. My family show. My bad.
Right. Allegedly a family show. Eric Bieniemy's coaching style has been under fire by media pundits. Basically, I mean, this is one of those nothing burgers. I feel like in a month we're not going to care. But Aaron, how do you feel about the way that we're kind of hearing about this? Remember, he was the Christ this offseason, the last 5 off seasons. Well, when is he going to get a job? Because he's that color, and so he deserves it. It's like, forget the fact that Andy Reid, but whatever. Forget the fact that Patrick Mahomes actually argued with Bieniemy a lot more than he argued with Andy Reid. What is your take on Bieniemy's coaching style being criticized?
So this is tough because this is kind of an interesting wrinkle because Eric Bieniemy seems to have a more old school coaching style, in your face, Tom Coughlin. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time, kind of thing. It seems like he's a much more, I guess, for a lack of a word, hard ass. I mean, let's call it what it is. And when you're when you're in a winning, well, let's put it this way: when you're with today's athlete, they're a lot softer. They're a lot softer than the athlete that Eric Bieniemy played with back. I think he was a running back in the late '90s, I believe.
Didn't he make my draft or whatever? Like one of my drafts or top 5 college running backs. Like he was close.
He was at Colorado, I think, back in the day.
He was really good, I think.
But no, because I think it was Rashawn Salam that was the great Colorado. Anyways, I don't remember. He might have made a draft for whatever reason, but it's funny how you can see that. I'll make 2 points. The first one is it's funny how you can see that his coaching style probably hasn't changed from Kansas City to Washington, but you can see a winning culture, how they adapt and accept. Same with the Patriots. People who didn't win or face the Patriots didn't like the Patriot way because it was
true.
My way or the highway. Get up,
Right.
Put up or shut up. Look at these rings. Check out the scoreboard. Love it or leave. Same with Kansas City. Like, Eric Bieniemy is a hard ass as a coach, but we're winning Super Bowls and we're going to, a winning culture. How different that is than Washington, which is a chronic losing culture under Dan Snyder.
Not just losing, but yeah, that's one of the things.
Yeah, like let's just call it what it is. It's a poverty franchise, as the kids like to say right now. So these kids that weren't used to getting dogged are getting dogged by Eric Bieniemy. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with some of the things that they've said, and of course Ron Rivera came out and basically made it a #nothing burger.
Yes.
But I will say, is this something that could be one of the reasons that he's interviewed 15 times and hasn't gotten a head coaching job?
When today's society, you got to think.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are at X's and O's. If you can't be a head coach if you can't relate and adapt to today's player, whether that's right or wrong. I mean, look how many people have gotten. I mean, Tom Coughlin just got blasted from the NFL. He got
used to be the darling.
Yeah, he got phased out of the NFL. Like Nick Saban, when he tried that approach in Miami, it didn't work.
Urban Meyer kicked. Never mind.
Yeah, Urban Meyer kicked a player and then got kicked to the curb. Like, I don't know if he was just necessarily incompetent. But these players, I mean, Spurrier, all these guys who command a authoritarian regime. Yeah, I don't have a problem. Nobody has a problem with it when it's winning.
Well, and that's the thing, like, that's the fine line I was going to walk with you is that, like, are we doing this, like, well, he won in Kansas City, like, is that all there is? Like, is that all we're just going to excuse this as? Like, if that's why people are not offended, I think that's a very easy way of looking at it.
Well, it's not, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's not that it's not that we care or don't care that it happened in Kansas City. We didn't hear about it.
Well, say Antonio Brown, like you didn't hear about that until last year.
Well, I think Antonio Brown actually just the spring finally popped off the last year. When Eric Bieniemy moved from a winning culture to a losing culture, suddenly we learned about Eric Bieniemy's coaching style.
And it's funny, there's reporters who are like leaking this stuff and stuff like that. The same ones that I probably have criticized for letting things happen in the locker room and then being just so dumbfounded. There was some culture. The horrible coach. I'm like, no, really, guys? You guys had no idea. It's just funny to me.
No, my problem is in today's world, these, we'll call them for lack of a better word, these butthurt players leaking anonymously to media members instead of actually going to their coach and saying, hey, man, that's not the way it's not the way I respond to coaching. I respond to a different, type of coaching. I know that, I'm not asking you to change your ways, but no, they want to leak. I'm so tired of the anonymous sources in today's media.
Can we call them anonymous?
I don't buy anything that comes from an anonymous source anymore.
Well, you said that for a couple of years now.
And the Commanders have been the staple of mediocrity for the last 20-something years. And I don't think
it's not some of the current players' fault, but it does help that you're on that team. And it's like, the history. Like, why are you talking?
Well, all I'm saying is that if Washington somehow goes 12-5 this year, right, and it's mostly in part due to Eric Bieniemy, he'll find a head coaching job. We won't be talking about his coaching style.
That's right.
He will find a coaching job because his coaching style clearly produces results. And some team will take a chance on him. It may be the Commanders. I mean, Ron Rivera might be training his replacement.
I think Ron Rivera knows that, but I'm glad he's defending him.
I don't know if it felt like
I think he knows.
it felt like his first comments were not defending Bieniemy. They were saying, yeah, there's some people who don't like the way he does things.
Well, Ron Rivera, I don't like the way you lose. Sorry.
That's fair. He shouldn't have got that job in the first place.
Hey, Aaron, would you like to be coach for a day?
Yeah. You offering?
Well, no, but Mike Vrabel's offering his buddy. Weird. Very. I don't know. Again, I'm a Titans hater, but
Yes,
it
you
is
are.
so funny to me why this Mike Vrabel, because he was coached under Belichick and because they've peaked in the divisional, you said AFC Championship game, my bad, a couple years, and they're just like,
Are you trying to bend
they are
back?
so respected. I think it's funny because this to me seems like he's setting himself up. I don't know if this could be a nothing burger too, but to me, when you allow your assistant coach to coach a game, it's weird. It's almost like he's setting himself up for a front office job. I don't like it. It rubs me the wrong way.
So
Like,
On
what does he
first-
accomplish to not coach this game?
on first crack, I will give you the benefit of the doubt with that because that was my initial thought before I actually sat down and looked at this.
Okay.
I thought, what's the point of this? Why is Mike Vrabel? I mean, is there something he has to do in his personal life that this actually may look good for him media wise and personnel wise? But I actually kind of like it.
Oh, okay.
I think
see.
it's-
I see the first.
I think it's kind of a great move. Now, it may be for some problematic reasons, which could create more tension in the NFL. But I think looking at Nathaniel Hackett and what happened to him last year, I think it's a great decision, especially during the preseason, obviously, to let these coaches, these coordinators who could become head coaches, have game experience as head coaches. That way, when Nathaniel Hackett gets a job, he's not a complete
Bum.
idiot for 5 weeks of his tenure. I know their main thing is they're wanting to do this for primarily minority candidates, which I know, here we go. We're going down a road that
Yes.
we're just trying to we're only trying to prop up what we want to prop up because minority only means one race because let's face
I've
it.
got a black sword with a rainbow handle, Aaron.
Anyways, but at its core, if this is something that can be promoted to any coordinator or all coordinators, I think it has really good intentions. I don't know if it'll necessarily finish that way, but I think it has really good intentions to get these coordinators and get these assistant coaches ready to be a coach. And I think, honestly, at its roots, I think it's a good strategy.
Or these ESPN analysts to try out coaching for a game or a 6 weeks period.
No, let's not do all that.
Come on, man. You didn't like the reference there?
No, I didn't catch the reference. What is the
Jeff
reference?
Saturday.
Oh, gotcha. That one was a little bit different. They just called him off the street. He was mowing his lawn.
I tell people all the time, and I don't want to just go down. I did that to myself. That was my fault. But I will say it again about Jeff Saturday, and I will leave this horse alone and let it die and rest in peace. I believe if Jeff Saturday was not ever a Colt, and especially a Colt for life or mostly life, I feel like he would have never gotten a chance with the Colts.
We know
with
that.
any other team, I don't feel like they would have cared.
No, he would not have been a head coach with any other team. It was because he played for the Colts.
And it wasn't like he was in a great position to succeed either. Like, I
But
don't
it's
know
the same thing as if,
is
like,
that privilege to people? I don't know.
I think it was a unique situation where they were in the middle of the season
And they stunk.
and they stunk, and either they didn't want to promote any of their assistant coaches, and they just thought this would be a kind of a novelty to the fans to have Jeff Saturday coaching
They're
team.
saying there's rumors that Colts. I don't know if we don't go on this road, but there's rumors that Colts have a bad locker room because they threw in Jeff Saturday. There's betting there's guys who are betting heavily on the team. Like, it could be a thing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think they have some of the looniest ownership in Jim Irsay. He's ridiculous.
The liquor bottle jokes are funny.
I don't think he's a bad owner. I just think he sets a bad example. And then you can't set a bad example for who you are and then expect all of your subordinates to just fall in line.
I'm not saying Jim Irsay would ever have a DUI. I don't know if he ever has.
Or 6.
Does he? Like, he has a bunch?
He has a lot. I don't know if it's 6,
Well,
but he has a lot.
I think it's in terms of like hypocrisy and setting a bad example. It's not a good look when we're calling for guys like Jordan Addison's head, and Henry Ruggs gets a minimum of 3 years, in prison. Although it is kind of sad to see the way that worked out in court, even though the family was supportive. I was watching court, okay, but regardless,
I like it.
It's sad that Jim Irsay is setting a horrible example and still allowed to be an owner.
So, yeah, that's a whole different conversation. I think he's, like I said, I think he's an awful example of if you're trying to look, for young men to look up to somebody, especially the guys signing their checks. However, when you own something, it's very hard for to have somebody make you get rid of that.
Just ask Dan Snyder.
Just ask. I mean, everybody but Donald Sterling, basically.
Oh, coming up next, the Burns. Right, the Burns said it first, and Pac-12, but it's 4 instead. We'll explain on the other side of the AM Drive.
All right, welcome back here into this Fantasy Draft Friday edition of the AM Drive, presented by our friends at Shank It Golf. Boy, I do a lot of that on the course, so why not buy the gear that I can rep my golfing style? ShankItGolf.com. You can go to it straight through the website, or you can go to MikeandAaronDrive.com. Either way, when you get to that website, 15% off your order using code AM Drive. That's the key, is go to the checkout. Get as much as you want. AM Drive, 15% off your order. Shank It Golf, our friends there. So make sure you buy the apparel. I got a shirt. It's over on the couch right now. But
really?
Yeah, it's. I'll try to have it for Monday. I'll try to put it over here in the office.
We're shankful.
Shankful. I like that. Hashtag shankful.
And for that, we shank you all.
See, that's the problem though, because shanking means something different.
No. Wow.
Yeah. Yes, no, I know. I picked up on the reference, but I don't want to adopt a prison culture here on the AM Drive. I don't like your hosting style, so I'm going to go tell not unlimited sources. I'm going to go tell anonymous sources that I don't like your hosting style. So,
right, maybe
Michael Bieniemy.
Pac-12, but instead it's 4. Get it?
The Pac-4.
Pac-Man. I don't know.
Pac-4 new conferences. That's what it is.
Are they gonna they have to rebrand? Let's say, for our sake of argument, they actually do have 5 or 6 teams. Do they just call would you feel confident in yourself calling yourself the Pac-6? Because I would not. Or 6-pack.
6-pack would be good, but I'll do you one better. I think this is the last iteration of the Pac. Anything. The Pac will be gone.
Let us.
Yeah, we need to have a moment of silence.
I was waiting for this moment.
I think they're done.
Thank you. Five seconds of silence, baby.
What's left of the Pac-12? There's already talks of Stanford and Cal to go to the ACC, which
Stanford
is insane.
Brutal.
The Atlantic Coast Conference has now adopted 2 teams from California.
That didn't sound right.
So that leaves Oregon State and Washington State as basically the kids on the playground that nobody wanted. Mm-hmm. I think this is the last season of Pac whatever football, and ultimately if the deal falls through with the ACC, 2 of or 4, all 4 of them are going to be a part of the Mountain West next year.
Mountain West, good Lord! Imagine being that bad of an owner. I personally hate this, by the way, this new landscape of college football. 2 other people love it, and 2 other people don't care.
You're the only one that voted hate it?
Well, I might just say don't. I probably should have looked at the third option and put don't care, but I mean, I can do with hate it as well.
Well, I didn't have a vote in our poll, but I would say I hate it as well. I think we have literally just devolved college sports into the NFL. And it's just, this is really nothing to do with the paying the players. It's just, it seems like everyone in college football is just out for the bag.
When we didn't put a salary cap on it, that was a problem.
I just don't know how you put a cap on that
It's
because
easy. Again, you tell players, or you give.
But why is this this isn't the player's fault?
No. I'm not saying this, but you give the NCAA gives each team a certain amount of money they can use. The players can get sponsors. I don't care if Chick-fil-A is sponsoring the Bulldogs, but to me that would help more than people think it would.
But see, providing stipends to the players, yeah, maybe in the beginning it could have, but that can't come from the NCAA. The NCAA is not the one that's making all the money. It's the conferences. The conferences have basically kicked the NCAA to the curb, and you can see it now because they look to the NCAA for comment, and NCAA is like, "This is what you wanted. You guys got exactly what you wanted." When Lane Kiffin's out there bitching about NIL,
oh, come on!
It's free. I don't disagree with him, but what I'm saying is this is what you guys fought for. Oh. This is exactly what you wanted. You wanted your super conferences. You wanted $50 million in revenue sharing, but along with that, now you have basic free agency in college football. I think they've ruined college football, and I'm honestly like, this may be the last year I watch college football. We've killed rivalries. We've broken tradition. And honestly, if I want to watch overpaid people play a sport, I've got the NFL.
Amen.
So what have you really done? You've really just become the NFL, AAA, G League, whatever you want to call it, because these guys can't go straight to the NFL from high school. They'd get destroyed. But I think college sports, honestly, is ruined. And it's unfortunate because my school, which has always been a mid-major, which has always been a team that's always struggled to compete, finally gets to the plate with the big boys, and they're still left behind.
And everyone else comes in.
And everyone else comes in. I mean, yes, they're part of a power conference, but what does that even mean anymore? Like, how are we going to even play conferences? I mean, I'm excited for the concept of Arizona. There's going to be an away game for my team at Arizona. I might go down and watch it, but other than that, I could care less. I think they honestly, for the, I don't want to say diehard college football fan, but for the more intense college, for the non-casual, let's call it, they have ruined college football. For the casual fan, you're going to get some great matchups. I don't doubt that.
Benefits were feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a casual football fan, this is actually awesome for you. You have created super conferences, which have teams like Oklahoma who have been their fan base is going to expect dominance. In the SEC, good freaking luck.
Hey,
like Oklahoma fans in 5 years are going to be in for a rude awakening.
So I know what you're rooting for now internally. Blood on your hands from the Saudi side. We need.
No, I'm not rooting for
campaigning for the Saudis to buy the XFL. Dwayne The Rock, get on your knees, give it up, or else they're gonna.
Why would I want? What is that? What does one thing have to do with the other?
Because, like, forget college football. Let's just put them all in the XFL and pay them $1 billion. Let's do it.
Well, the colleges will never relinquish this stuff because they don't. While they don't have to pay them, they obviously know where they can find the avenues to get these kids some money. So I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong, but for me right now, it feels like college football is ruined starting in 2024.
You know a song for Green Day called "When I Come Around"?
Yeah,
that's gonna be you. Okay.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Like you say, you hate it and you don't care. It's like, but I feel like you have to have an opinion on this.
My opinion is I don't care because it's like, I feel like it's gonna work itself out. I mean, do I think? I still want to watch it just to scout the players, but I do agree like the overall feel of it is gone. But I have to see what the product is like in 5 years. What does the product look like?
I mean, we're already at a point where
that's gonna be. I don't even know how to predict it. It just feels weird to me more than anything.
We're already at a point, and again, I'm okay with it. I understand why they do it. I mean, I guess I'm not necessarily okay with it, but I mean, we're already at a point where these guys are skipping bowl games, to prepare for the draft. Now these guys are getting paid. Who's to say if they don't start out the season like 0-2? Like if you're an SEC team and you're like 0-2 to start the season, if you're a player who's going to get drafted, why aren't you not sitting out the season? Like clearly we're not competing for SEC and national titles. We're 0-2. Why would you not sit out the season at that point?
I like that. That's a good point. It's a horrible.
I don't like it. I'm just saying.
I like the point though.
if you can't compete for for a conference or national title, and you're a top NFL prospect, there is no. If you start out 0-2 or 1-3, there is no reason you should be playing the rest of the season. By the standards of I'm done with this. Like, but I just got paid millions of dollars by these boosters, by these NIL boosters. What do I have to do? Give that back? I mean, what's the plan here?
Who was the commissioner of the PGA a while ago?
Jay Moynihan.
Question for you. I wonder if like there's a way like we can like Jay to contact The Rock and say, hey buddy, like while he's drinking a cup of blood, he says, hey dude, while I'm drunk on this gin over here, you should join the Saudis, man.
But see, the thing is it's all money. If we have the XFL funded by the Saudis,
Newsflash.
You act like they're gonna produce a better product. They're not gonna produce a better product than the NFL.
Yeah.
They're just gonna have more guys who are going to take money. They're just going for money. Look at Live versus PGA. Look at Live versus PGA. Have you watched a single Live event? No. Exactly. It's just guys going to take money, and I don't have a problem that they go and take money, but
where does we draw the line? Like, how much money is too much money? I don't get it.
As a person who believes in capitalism, there's no such thing as too much money.
I don't know.
But as a person who doesn't have all that money, I think there is a spot where it's like, hey, man, I will say this. When they're negotiating contracts, I know this sounds crazy to us, like that Mbappe contract, that $1 billion contract. Like, to me, I don't see a difference between $600 million and $750 million.
That's my thing. Like, where do we draw the line here?
But I'm never going to stop a person from taking $750 over $6.
Weird.
It is. It's silly. It's ridiculous. They're living in a world way above us that will never.
Does the money even matter though? Like seriously, if you're living very, you ever seen the pictures of what was it, the Cardinals' old coach? I wonder how his mansion's doing. Cliff Kingsbury, remember that mansion he was in?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, where does he draw the line there?
There's so many horror stories about athletes going broke, so they're just going to make sure they don't go broke anymore.
Oh, that's bad too.
It's an even worse look if you go broke from $700 million versus a guy who went broke from like $50 million.
Yeah. The Burn said it first.
Yes, he did.
Michael Lorenzen from Dior, from Macy's, your fragrance destination. Sounds good. Michael Lorenzen throws a no. I mean, that was who again, Aaron? Let the people know.
What was who?
Let people know who Michael Lorenzen is to Mitch Bernstein.
Well, Michael Lorenzen was a draft day acquisition from the Tigers to the Philadelphia Phillies. Obviously, the last time, I think he was on last Friday. Was he on last Friday or 2 Fridays ago?
It was last Friday.
He said his most underrated move of the deadline was Michael Lorenzen. He said it was his favorite move of the deadline. Now, you take that with a grain of salt because he's a Philly fan.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael Lorenzen's second start for the Phillies goes out and tosses a no-hitter. I mean, he's just making Mitch Bernstein look like Nostradamus out there. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, Verlander obviously hasn't looked great since he got to Houston, and Scherzer's looked pretty good in his first start, not as great in his second start. So I have to take a tip of the cap and give a tip of the cap to Mitch Bernstein for calling out Michael Lorenzen because he has made Mitch look good. Now we'll see what happens the rest of the year. You know, Philly's in a tight wild card race, but that is a good feeling to not only be a Philly fan, but to also say he thought this was the best move of the deadline, and so far it has paid off for him.
Yeah, not only to be a hot take Philly fan, but also be right for once. Let me shut up. So, because wasn't Michael Lorenzen the one that pitched into the 8th inning and then gave up the 2 home runs in his first start?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so it felt good for Mitch, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is an interesting take when you have the third pitcher from Detroit as your most underrated move, and it checks out for you. So, tip of the cap to Mitch. Just want to give you a shout out on the show because that's a pretty impressive feat, and especially when it happens for your Phillies. So.
ShankItGolf.com, code AMDrive for 15% off for that we are shankful. When we return, I will be back. He will be back too. We got a fantasy draft, and Aaron, put him up, pal. We'll be right back to the AM Drive. Right. Do me a favor.
What's that?
If you start off every ad read for them saying, "Don't be a nothing burger, be an Agridime burger."
How about this? You don't want a box full of nothing burgers. You want a box full of Agridime burgers. Our friends at Agridime, you see them right here in the corner,
Yes.
providing some of the best high-quality meats delivered directly to your door. Go to mikeandaarondrive.com. Click the logo that looks like it could either be fanning a cow or a big slicer above a cow's neck.
I'm fanning Aaron.
Oh, I appreciate that. I can feel it from here.
You're welcome.
Even 10% off your order with code AMDrive. Tell them the folks at AM Drive sent you with using that promo code. Shop till you drop. Get the best in high-quality meats delivered right to your door. Just in time for the end of summer. And hell, fall is a good time to grill as well. So don't forget about that. Get your smoker meats, get your grill meats with our friends at Agridime. 10% off with code AMDrive. Tell them we sent you.
You did trick us because you were like, "Oh, summer long, we're gonna get Agridime, but fall you can grill too." I've been tricked.
Yeah, you can grill in the fall and you can smoke in the summer. Or excuse me,
Smoke what, Aaron?
Smoke in the winter. Smoke your meat.
There's like a big like.
No, you don't take a soft. No,
You take the leg of a pig.
just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop while you're ahead.
Let us know before I hit you.
Fair enough. All right, let's do it. Fantasy Draft Friday. This fantasy draft in honor of two things, actually.
Wow.
Last weekend we had a brawl of sorts. Baseball brawls never really come to fruition a lot of times. It's just a lot of hold me back. But I think we got a good one last week with Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson actually literally squaring up. And both players connecting on a punch. Jose Ramirez's punch might have been a little bit better. If you haven't seen it, obviously YouTube is your friend. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have the Montgomery, Alabama riverboat fights. I don't know if you've seen
that. That was bad, dude.
It's ridiculous. The fight that's gone viral, igniting
Pat McAfee was talking about that, too.
Yeah, igniting a racial war, because it literally was black guys versus white guys.
Well, because the white guys attacked the black security guard, which is really Bush League. As a security guard,
100%.
I stand with security guards, okay?
We don't know the whole context of everything, but on face value, it looks absolutely awful. 100%. Anyways.
You saw the guys, like, with the two black guys, he was like, that 65-year-old could fight.
And then the guy comes in with a chair and ends it all. So in honor of those two events this week, our Fantasy Draft Friday is best brawls in sports history. And I'll tell you what, I really could only find 9 that I wanted to put on my list. So I really hope you don't take 5 of them.
I'll take one off the top.
Who has the first pick? Is it you?
I'm pretty sure I do, yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're going to take Malice.
Okay, for sure. Now what is your first pick?
I mean, anybody who has first pick has to take Malice at the Palace.
Well, I'm letting you explain that one. Basically, Ron Artest. Well, he changed his name again. I thought it was still Meta World Peace.
Oh, what is it now? You go back to Ron?
Metasanji Artest. It's weird.
He's Ron Artest. Just deal with it.
Well, he was Ron Artest when he beat the snot out of a fan. But whatever. Go ahead. Next pick.
That's one of the greatest brawls. When I say greatest, I say that with a grain of salt, obviously, but
it's the biggest. It's the heaviest fine. Well, most games the NBA has ever suspended somebody.
Good morning.
Good morning, for real. That was not drug related.
Yeah, I mean, Ron got a year. I think Jermaine O'Neal got most of a year. Steven Jackson. The good thing for them is everybody kind of, well, not everybody, but most people kind of forget that they were involved. I mean, Ben Wallace was involved. A lot of people forget they're involved.
Jackson is a legend on podcasting now. So
he is. I do like that podcast he does with, I think it's Matt Barnes. I like that one.
2 guys who were like, who? And you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Talk like all the smoke, I think it's called, whatever.
Well, it's funny because you say they're who, but those were 2 of some of the badass players in the NBA when
Jackson was good for the Warriors, actually, with the old logo.
Warriors. He was good with I think he won a title with the Spurs.
Yes.
Matt Barnes was just a badass. You didn't want to get in his way. Anyways, yeah, Malice of the Palace. Malice of the Palace was the best of this list. I mean, there's no. I'm gonna save one because I think I can keep it for a couple of picks. But I think number 2 has to be the Red Sox-Yankees brawl in 2003.
Thank God.
I mean, you had Alex Rodriguez and Jason Varitek. Varitek finally didn't step down to the multi-million-dollar porcelain toy that is Alex Rodriguez. And then, of course, the whole brawl is highlighted by Pedro Martinez throwing Don Zimmer, an 80-plus-year-old man, to the ground Ole Bull style. I mean, when you look back at it now, you can laugh. It was pretty like, oh my God, did Don Zimmer just die? Kind of in the moment. But
the grainy footage of these fights makes it look that much better.
it's crazy how 03 has grainy footage, doesn't it? I mean, how the world we live in. I wish we could take me back to a day when the Red Sox and the Yankees genuinely hated each other like they did back then. It's not the same anymore.
Agreed. I'm so glad you didn't take my next one. Aaron, can I have your hat so I can beat you with it?
Is that the Bryce Harper fight?
No, you wish. You know so many guys have thrown their helmets off? No, Myles Garrett ripped off Mason Rudolph. Somebody. And you know what the best part about this thing is? This was not just any... Because a lot of people like brush it off as... I don't want to say brush it off, as Mason Rudolph said the N-word. But people are like, if you are real about this, Mason Rudolph would have been exiled from the NFL if he had done that in a game. So if people actually knew that. And I'm pretty sure I've told you this before. There is rumors that Myles Garrett is, kind of gay. And that people know that, and that he's selling the FAG word, which literally would justify him staying in the league because to be fair, though, LGBT was not a big thing back then.
Well, not only that, players call each other that all the time, I would assume.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why he did it. I don't think it was because if everyone heard this things and the microphones heard it, I'm sure the NFL Films has it. You mean to tell me? Yeah, come on, man, don't do that. I think that's what it is.
Not only that, if he said the N-word, any one of his teammates
they would have defended him.
They would not have defended Mason Rudolph. However, not only that, you couple it with, didn't he wait like 6 weeks to come out and say that? Yeah. After all of his appeals were denied.
Yeah, it was a few weeks. It was like, he called me the N-word.
Yeah, it was like your last-ditch Hail Mary to try to stay on the field.
But everyone believes that, so he was a good Hail Mary.
Well, yeah, because in today's world, that's just what they believe anyways. It's a tough one.
I just love the conspiracy around that.
For me, I'm going to go to the world of basketball here, and you may be too young to know this, but it was like late 90s, early 2000s. I think it was late 90s.
Don't you Jeff Van Gundy like that.
It's Jeff Van Gundy. I mean, everybody has that lasting image of Jeff Van Gundy literally gripped to Alonzo Mourning's ankle, and it was the whole series, though. It was the entire series. It's funny. Somebody watching our show is literally texting me right now. I have that one already, but I think you're not going to pick it, so I'm saving it. Yeah, the 90s playoffs, the entire series. Ewing versus Mourning, Alonzo Mourning, Jeff Van Gundy, Allen Houston. Just the list goes on and on. That entire series, there were brawls every game. So I'll take the 90s playoff series between Miami and the Knicks.
Love it. Mine next one is another iconic moment. It starts the bat flip era. Jose Bautista in 2015 for the Blue Jays sends a bat 30 feet in the air and then ends up sliding into a second baseman later on or whatever. It was funny to me. I love the bat flip from Jose Bautista. He has the best one of all time. And the fact that that's pissed him off was fantastic. I love it.
That was the last good baseball fight before this weekend that actually where player connected with player. So number 3 pick for me, I'm going to go with 1996 NHL playoffs, Detroit Red Wings, Colorado Avalanche, maybe the bloodiest fight I've ever seen of all time, with Darren McCarthy just beating the hell out of
blood running down his face.
Is it Claude Lemieux? I can't remember if it was Claude Lemieux. Yeah, but blood was running down his face. Dude, the referees are scraping bloody icicles off the rink. It was just absolutely disgusting, and
you loved it.
It may be one of the bloodiest brawls I've ever seen. So I'm going 1996 playoffs, Avalanche, which I believe that was the first or second year the Avalanche were a thing after they moved from Quebec. So obviously Colorado went on to win the cup that year, but that sparked a huge rivalry in the 90s as well. I mean, a lot of my stuff's going to be from back in the day where this stuff was, I don't know if it's glorified, but it was definitely we were entertained more by it. Now you talk about these guys you have all these writers now who are like, take fighting out of hockey. Well, you need to go find a new job.
That's right. Get lost, pal. Brad Marchand has a place. But
I'm looking at
Brad Marchand's actually good though, ain't he?
Brad Marchand is a good hockey player. He's also a nuisance. Most nuisances are not good at hockey, and that's why the only reason they're relevant is because they're a nuisance.
I better take the next. But before I do the next one, I do want to make it clear. My buddy Chris, who did the old MCX with me, like my first podcast, he in a year where he is taking a picture with Jorge Masvidal, whatever his name is, Trevor Lawrence, Conor McGregor, has pictures with all three of them. He also went to a Celtics game and got Jaylen Brown to sign something, Celtics and Hawks game, and in the playoffs, I believe. And he went to the Nate Diaz and Jake Paul fights. He's a big Nate Diaz guy, and like he got a fist bump Jake Paul even though he hates him. So I thought it was funny.
Where was that fight?
Dallas. And also it was. I was still, every time I look up a boxing match just so I can talk about the next day, I was like, why did I waste that? It went the full 10 rounds, even though I know Nate Diaz can last a while. It went the full 10 rounds. Jake Paul was clearly in better physical shape, but somehow couldn't finish him. It's so rigged, it's not even funny. And now it's like Logan and Nick Diaz might fight. It's such bull crap. I hate boxing so much.
What was your point to all that story?
No, my point was that, like, because in honor of the fights, he got to see that one in person. It's been a great year for my boy.
Okay, cool.
Just saying. Little flex, you know. Let's do this one, though. Kansas State. I forgot what year this was, but it was recent. It was like 2015, maybe. Kansas State and Kansas. Kansas is blowing them out 81-59. And a Kansas State player steals the ball, goes for a layup with, like, as time expires. And some dude named, like Madu, like Abu Sar, whatever his name is, blocks the crap out of it as the game is over, stands over the guy, ensuing a melee. Remember, in college basketball, those are rare. Those guys are always like, just a good game, all kind of crap. I've always wondered, like, how are they all like that in college basketball? But anyways, then he picks up a chair and starts hitting people with it. So it really was. Again, college basketball never ceases. That's why it made my list.
No, you're right. I mean, kids can lose scholarships that way, so it's always kind of
careers. I've never even heard of the guy.
A dangerous thing. I mean, speaking of, remember how big the Juwan Howard punch was last year or 2 years ago?
Right. That was bad. Yeah. My
number 4 pick here is I'm finally going to go ahead and utilize. It's 1979, the Rangers and Bruins. Mike Milbury beat a guy with his own shoe. A fan. They got into the stands, and Mike Milbury, average to below average hockey player, will always be remembered for beating someone up with their own shoe. So 1979 Bruins, New York Rangers. I don't know if it's a better fight than the one on the ice with Colorado and Detroit, but it certainly is a funny fight.
Oh yeah, well.
I have a few left over for my honorable mentions, or my 5th pick, too.
I will leave my honorable mentions until your 5th pick. But, oh my gosh, I don't want to pander to myself here. I really want to take it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take a hockey fight.
Oh.
It just blew. It really was kind of like a Bush League move. But then the story of it, it's just like it's even better when I look up the guy's name and like see how many fights he was in. Ty Domi.
Oh, Ty Domi, jeez.
For the Maple Leafs against Luke Richardson of the Flyers, and this fight, it was like a 5-fight in one melee, and then this guy named Burt, number 2 for the Flyers, already being held back. So Domi comes in, punches him, and I was like, "What are you doing, Domi? You can't do that." And then Luke Richardson comes around, and Domi starts hiding behind his teammate, who's got this guy in a chokehold anyways. And then later on, when Richardson is tied up with a ref, Domi then wants to go fight him anyways. So I thought of all the Ty Domi fights, I thought I might as well take that one.
Was that the Flyers Leafs game in '87?
I think it was. I forgot the year, but all I know is that I don't think there was 2 fights in one. I think there was 2 fights in that game. I think.
I also looked up. They're not really brawls, but they are. I looked up some good, any good goalie fights. I couldn't really find one that
this one had some goalies almost going at it. I think.
Yeah, I think if Fleury and and Jordan Bennington would have gotten a fight this year. I probably could have put that one just because of all goalies to get in a fight. You wouldn't think Marc-Andre Fleury would be one.
But I do. This one was like in the clip. You'll see like him pounding a guy who's clearly being held already, and then he later on goes after the guy anyways. Like you had your chance, pal. But yeah, Ty Domi, he's got a lot of fans apparently too. So. Bleh.
Yeah, Ty Domi was definitely one of those menaces that you're talking about, and of course his kid Max is in the league now, and he doesn't do much either.
You saw the fan that broke the glass trying to get in. Like actually got in the glass and like I think got like punched by Ty Domi too.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's wild.
Ty Domi that's all he was really known for, was just being an asshole.
Yeah.
All right, so my fifth pick, I think I'm a prisoner of the moment right here. I know it's not. I know it didn't really lead to much, but I think my fifth pick is going to be Tim Anderson getting lights out by Jose Ramirez.
You see, like Jose Ramirez is being held back and still clocks him.
Well, I mean, not only that, let's extrapolate this out over the week. Like, Jose Ramirez, Tim Anderson does himself no favors, calling himself the next Jackie Robinson. Like, it doesn't strike well with your fellow player. Okay. That was him. Being a cocky SOB while being a mediocre baseball player, like, you're not doing yourself any favors. Jose Ramirez, I thought the slide was a little out of order, but apparently Tim Anderson, obviously we saw him stand over him. But apparently Tim Anderson said something. We don't know what he said, but Jose Ramirez was just tired of it. He's been vocal of Tim Anderson in the past, and he finally connected on a shot that everyone in the MLB probably wanted to take.
But the fact I love that fight for one reason. Because the guy actually got knocked down for half a second. Like, you can actually see clear as day, the guy actually got knocked out.
Yeah, he was out for a second. And
like, those things never happen.
That's what I'm saying. In baseball brawls, it's very rare that punches actually connect.
Hold me back, like you said.
It's a lot of hold me backs. It's a lot of, like, rugby scrums. Right. But they dropped the mitts. Like, Tim Anderson literally dropped the glove, put up the old Street Fighter pose.
Right.
And promptly got knocked the F out. And
that was great.
And if you look at like exterior footage, like B-roll footage, as they're trying to escort him off of the field, he is literally like he was knocked out for a while. So maybe
I didn't know that part.
Maybe that knocks some sense into Tim Anderson, and he'll shut his mouth for a little while. But I think my number 5 is going to be Jose Ramirez versus Tim Anderson, 2023.
I like that.
I think it makes the list.
It almost made my list. So, I want to give credit to Jeff Gordon and like a whole bunch of people in an all-star race, I believe in 2015 maybe. So, Jeff Gordon goes to attack Brad Keselowski, and I believe 2 other drivers did as well. At an all-star race. It's the race where like no points matter, but it's like for $1 million.
Right, the Pepsi shootout, right, or something like that?
No, I don't know what it's just the all-star race now, I think. Coca-Cola all-star race, I don't know.
It was the one in Charlotte. I think it's the one in Charlotte, right?
That's the Coke 600.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And they also have like the Coke Zero 400, which used to be the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. But it's funny though, and there was also a few other NASCAR ones like Daryl, Bubba Wallace goes to shove the crap out of Kyle Larson. 2 of the racial darlings, by the way. One of them for not a good reason, the other one for a good reason. Like just shoving the crap out of him. Kyle Larson does nothing but take it like a little B word. I don't know if you remember that. It's like Kyle Larson. Remember that he's the one who said the thing.
I know what he said. I don't remember these brawls.
No, it wasn't a brawl, but it was funny because these 2 guys who were in the news for the weird reasons. He's shoving the good guy shoving the bad guy. It's like the bad guy's like, "What do you want me to do with this?"
So it was Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, and Bubba Wallace was supposed to be the good guy, shoving the crap out of him. And Kyle Larson is just taking it like, okay, I'm done.
Because if Kyle Larson hits him with a right, we got bigger problems in this country.
Also, Andre Johnson.
Are these your honorable mentions? Or these are your picks?
No, these are honorable mentions.
Why don't you make your pick and then you can name
your
honorable
mention? My pick was Ty Domi.
Oh, I had the last pick?
Yeah, because I had the first one.
Oh, just kidding. I didn't realize you already made a pick.
Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson, because Andre Johnson landed about 3 or 4 haymakers on that dude.
The guy had his helmet on. You're the dumbest idiot in the world. Never punch a guy with a helmet on.
Well, that was at first, but if you look at it, I think the helmet got ripped off and then Andre Johnson started clocking him. But also, Cortland Finnegan was also involved in another fight. Apparently, he gets under players' skins. Also, Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree, where Crabtree walks all the way down the field and Aqib Talib still attacks him. It's fantastic.
Snatched his necklace in one of the incidents. That was my one of my honorable mentions.
The necklace.
Was the Crabtree, Aqib Talib. That wasn't really a brawl. That was just more of a, I don't know, idiots being idiots. But I had the Aqib Talib, and then my last one, which I don't know. It probably should have made someone's list. It probably should have made mine. I don't know. But the brawl that ensued after Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear off and spit it into the crowd. The brawl that ensued with that part. Well, I think he either spit it or threw it into the crowd. Like, yeah, somebody had his ear for a while. Like, somebody tried to auction it off.
I would do that.
Yeah, like somebody tried to auction off Evander Holyfield's ear, and yeah. So it wasn't really a brawl per se, but it did rile up the crowd and obviously the teams. I don't know. It probably didn't make the list because I don't think it actually classifies as a brawl, but. The Tyson Holyfield match. Yeah, that was and then I don't remember what year it was, and it didn't really lead to anything significant, but Bryce Harper, it was Nationals Giants. Bryce Harper took a pitch, ran after, I want to say it was like Matt Cain, but I don't think that's right, and threw his helmet at him, nailed him right in like the hip.
Right.
But it didn't really lead to any major significant punching like the Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez fight. So it didn't make my list either, but it made an honorable mention because
I think
baseball.
Jose Ramirez is going to go. Looking back 20 years from now, this is going to be a great fight. I think people are going to think
this might be the second best brawl in baseball of all time. I don't know.
Did Red Sox win the World Series the next year?
The next year, yeah. Well, the Red Sox Yankees faced each other. They faced each other in the ALCS that year, but Yankees won. But then they lost to the Marlins. All right, that's going to do it here for us on this Fantasy Draft Friday edition. What are some of your favorite brawls? Interact with us on social media, on all of our social medias. You can find everything you need to find for the AM Drive at mikeandaarondrive.com, all our shop, sponsors, socials, and, of course, our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you know every time we have a new video, because when you do all that, it helps out the channel # tremendously. And so for that, we thank you. So for Michael Carvelis, I'm Aaron Crowd saying enjoy your sports weekend, gamble responsibly, and of course, as always,
drive safe. Bye.